Connor Mead. I'm here today at the 2016 Canadian Science Policy Conference, and joining me today is Liam Crapper, who's a PhD candidate in neuroscience at McGill University. So Liam, thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
So to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your work and your path and what led you here?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm, as you mentioned, a PhD student at McGill in neuroscience. While I was doing that, I was realizing that the lab and hard science work wasn't really for me particularly, and I started getting involved in Science Policy Exchange, which is a student-run science advocacy organization. And I served as president last year, and I'm now on the board of directors, and that's what's brought me here.
Cool. So what are the goals and objectives of the Science Policy Exchange?
It's really to bring the student voice into policy, both to help advise on important policy issues and to help students who otherwise might not be exposed to policy topics get more exposure and to develop interest in science policy.
So what are some of the negative consequences when students don't have that voice?
Right. I think there's a lot of reasons that it's important that students have that voice. One is just something that's been talked about a lot here today, is that scientists need to be able to talk to policymakers or about policy, or just to have that experience or even know that it's something that they should be able to do. So I think it's important for students to integrate with or interact with policy in that sense. And also I think it leads to better policy in the same way that if you want to make health policy, you'll talk to patients and people who interact with the healthcare system a lot. I think especially for educational policy, but for a variety of other topics as well, it makes sense to get the impact or the voice of the students that are impacted by those policy changes.
Great. So what are some of the accomplishments of Science Policy Exchange and the victories you've had so far?
Well, so for a long time we were an organization that mainly hosted conferences, similar to a smaller version of CSPC in a lot of ways. So one was about innovation, in fact, and that was very similar to a CSPC style conference. But recently, and while I was president, we migrated more towards being a policy advocacy organization, and we just this week released our first white paper, which is about science education and STEM education, and is a consultation with a group of students. So we brought together a group of students from the Montreal area, along with policy experts and people from government and big and small businesses, to really discuss the problems that students were facing in their education and in the entry to the job market, as well as possible solutions that they saw.
Great. So now that Science Policy Exchange has published this white paper, presented it here at CSPC, and it has received this tremendous response, what's next?
Yeah, so we're currently deciding what the topic for our next paper is going to be. In the meantime, we're having more local, smaller events. So our next one of those is going to be in the spring, and it'll be about genomics policy and how that should be regulated and currently is regulated in the interaction with the healthcare system. Those are all sort of embryonic stage right now.
Okay, fantastic. Well, my last question before we wrap up, Liam, where can we go online, or for the viewers at home, where can we go online to learn more about Science Policy Exchange and read this white paper? Yeah,
definitely. So our website is sp-exchange.ca, which is not the simplest website, but and we are on Twitter and social media and all that stuff as well, and the white paper will be front and center on the web page or on the website if you go there.
Fantastic. Liam, pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.